In Linux systems, there exists so-called environment or system variables. They're very helpful even for novice and amateur users. Some operations even require them. In the part of the course where we'll examine ways of software installation, you'll notice that environment variables come in handy. An environment variable is a kind of label that in certain circumstances, the system is able to read and interpret. If you type any command, whether in Windows or Linux, the system must know where to look for its interpretation. There may be many different catalogs of various types on your disk. Their structure may be very complicated, so a question arises. When you type a command, for example, is, where should the system look for its meaning? This is not a bash built-in command. Rather, it's a simple application which displays the contents of the directory. The system needs to know where the command is located. Such information can be found in the environment variable called path. It's used both in Windows and Linux. If you browse through My Computer System Properties in Windows, in one of the tabs you'll find a list of environment variables. The path variable will be among them. One of the most frequently used variables is windir%. It shows where the Windows system is located. In Linux, of course, there are similar devices. For example, the path variable is used to inform the system which directories should be taken into account, while looking for files or directories to open. In Linux, just as in Windows, you can add new system variables in any given moment. You just need to assign them a value. The principle you should follow is variable equals content. It's good to precede it with the keyword export, which means that the variable is available in a single terminal. When you make a reference to a variable, you need to precede its name with the dollar symbol. In Windows, you should type %. For example, if you want to reference the path variable in Windows, you should type %path%, and in Linux, $path. You should note that, for example, the command echo variable will display the word variable, whereas echo $variable will display the specific content assigned to the variable called variable. If the variable does not exist, you'll receive an empty string. Let's see right away how it works in practice. In the system, there's a predefined variable, path. We can display it. Now the system's displaying the content that is assigned to the variable named path. If the user wants to execute a command, the system will look for it in 8 directories specified by the content of the path variable, and nowhere else. Regardless of how complex and complicated the directory structure is, the system will find the command very quickly. Note that among catalogs specified in the path, there is no dot. That is, the current directory. For example, if you have an executable file and you'd like to run it, the system will display a message that there is no such command. This is so because the current directory is not included in the system variable. If you want to run something that's located in the current directory, you should always use the relative path name, that is, /. In Windows, such a command should work even if you didn't give the source directory. Linux doesn't allow this for security reasons. Some commands are used very often, for example, the is command. Should anyone put a copy of this program in the current directory and added to it malicious code, it could run an application whose existence the user is not even aware of. That's why Linux does not allow to execute commands directly from the current directory, in particular if it's the user's home directory. You must always use either the relative path name or the absolute path name. For every binary application located in a catalog, that's not listed in the path variable. If you type the command echo path without the dollar symbol, the system will just display path on the screen. You should also pay attention to letter case. Even if you remember about the dollar sign, but you write echo $path in lowercase, you'll see an empty string, because the system does not know a variable named path in lowercase. We assign a value to a variable with the command export myvar. Then you refer to the variable myvar using its name preceded by a dollar sign. If you use the name of the variable as the parameter of the command echo, the content of the variable will be displayed. Two basic environment variables which any user may encounter are path, a set of directories where binary applications are located, and home, which indicates where a user's home directory is located in the file system. If you type in the terminal the command echo $home, you'll see the path to the home directory of the currently logged user. For each user, this variable is specified differently. To show this, let's change user to the root for a while. Now, when we display the variable home, we'll see the path of the root's home directory. At the same time, a regular user still has its own unique variable value. This is possible because home is not a global variable. The values of the variables are local. They apply to a single terminal. Importantly, the environment variables are deleted right away when you close the console window. For example, in one console, we've exported a variable called myvar. If we now open another terminal and type the command echo $myvar, we will find that this variable does not exist. Myvar is a local variable that works only in the other terminal. If we log out of the console where myvar has been created, the variable won't exist next time you start the terminal. You have to remember that in the bash shell, variables work only within a single terminal, specifically the one in which they were defined, and only for the time of a single session. New users often make this mistake when they try to perform more complex operations, which require to set some environmental variables. They define these variables in one terminal. They open a second terminal for convenience, for example, to preview files, and expect that variables they've created in the first terminal will work in the other. Unfortunately, this is not possible. You could define a global variable too, but it can't be done with a simple export command. At the moment, this issue is beyond the scope of our course. Later on, when we'll be discussing more advanced terminal operations, a solution to this problem will be shown as well. For the time being, you should remember that the variables are not shared between terminals.